It's a pleasure to be here at the Police Academy today, joined by Commissioner Grant Stevens and representatives of Babcock. Behind us is a new Airbus aircraft, which of course will be in sole use for the police. This is a quieter, more efficient, more manoeuvrable aircraft, which is particularly valuable for South Australia Police operations. This is a significant investment from the state, which also supports additional assets and the ongoing support for existing assets. South Australian Ambulance Service will see additional asset together with an additional flight line to support the overall aircraft available to the state. The aircraft is 10 times quieter, and local residents we know will appreciate that improvement in terms of local amenity. I might turn to the Commissioner and also then to representatives from Babcock today. Commissioner.
Thank you, Minister. And as the Minister said, this is a great improvement in our aircraft capability going forward. We've had great service from the previous helicopter, and it's made a significant contribution to safety within the South Australian community. This new capability will see us being even more effective in terms of our aerial presence, giving us the ability to rapidly respond to critical incidents, as well as pursuing high-speed offenders using our roads, searching for missing people, and also locating offenders who are seeking to evade police. This aircraft will continue to serve South Australia Police for quite some time to come, and we're really pleased to be able to welcome it into our fleet. It will become a really important asset in terms of how we go about making sure South Australia can be as safe as it possibly can be.
Thanks. All right, we might turn to operators for the aircraft as well.
CEO Andrew Cridland.
Sorry, sir, can you step up to the mics for us, please? Thank you.
Andrew might just do a sound test first.
Yep, do a sound check. Andrew Cridland, Babcock CEO.
Yep, you're good.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Stevens and Minister Cregan, and thank you all for coming out as we introduce this new helicopter into the fleet. Babcock's purpose is to create a safe and secure world together, and it's great to be able to partner with the State Rescue Helicopter Service as we introduce this new capability and as we continue to keep our community safe. This twin-engine helicopter represents a significant increase in the capability for the fleet. It is faster, it's lighter, it's more manoeuvrable, it's faster as well, and it also is quieter. In fact, it is the quietest aircraft in its type, and it is 10 times quieter, which represents a great outcome not only for the community but also for the crew that operate the aircraft. The aircraft itself can remain airborne for 3.5 hours, and before it needs a refuel. It has a range of about 650 kilometres, which means it can go from Adelaide to Unadilla, and it has a cruising speed of around 240 kilometres per hour. In addition to that, it has significant improvements in communications, and the technology on board means that the aircraft can continue to operate day and night, and also in any weather conditions, which is exactly part of our service. Is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. From an environmental perspective, it's also more fuel efficient, 35% more fuel efficient than the outgoing aircraft, which will save 3.6 tonnes of carbon emissions every single year. The other great aspect of this is that we've been able to partner with SAPOL in order to ensure that the kit on board is fit for purpose and able to meet their operational needs. We're proud also to be able to do this partnership with the State Rescue Helicopter Service. We've been operating almost 20 years on this contract, and we are committed to ensure that the aircraft continues to deliver on the average 1,300 missions per year, and to provide that service to the community in a safe way as well. In addition to the helicopter being introduced, we've also recruited and trained an additional 4 pilots, which means that we're able to now operate up to 3 services simultaneously for whatever the requirements might be. So I'd like to thank the State Government of South Australia and commit to the continued engagement we have, and that includes later this year where there'll be another replacement aircraft added to the fleet. So thank you.
Thank you very much. There might be some questions.
Commissioner?
Just wondering, have the new pilots Are they already in action, or are they still in training for additional pilots?
I might turn to Andrew. I understand that they have been in training.
Yes, we've recruited 4 additional pilots. They've been trained and they're in full operation and capable of operating this aircraft.
And how many choppers will be in the fleet now?
So with the addition of this one, we have the 3 aircraft also for the State Rescue Helicopter Service that's predominantly focused on the emergency services.
What is this chopper's zoom capabilities in terms of being able to narrow in and focus on a car or a suspect? Are they greater than previous or the same?
In regards to that particular question, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure if there is someone with more technical nous that might know, but certainly overall the capability is increased, and in particular our focus is on the fact that it's faster, it's lighter, it's more manoeuvrable, and it's much quieter than the outgoing aircraft.
And are there any additional capabilities, in addition to the ones you've just mentioned, that will support natural disaster responses such as widespread fire and floods?
The predominant use of this aircraft will be for SAPOL, for the missions that they complete.
And so this chopper is replacing an older chopper?
Yes, this replacing an outgoing 412 aircraft.
And how old was that chopper?
The previous aircraft, that is the outgoing aircraft, was 30 years old, and so what we have now is this Airbus H145 coming into the fleet and is fully operational.
Go, Minister, next.
Further questions?
Yes. Just in regards to the union calling to introduce number plate recognition, so drivers that don't pay for their fuel will get a text message. There's a similar model in Queensland, and do you think this could be a solution?
Well, as you know, the government has been leading a roundtable process with business, unions and industry to make sure that everyone is together in considering solutions to this difficult problem. We do not want to see a situation where police are being used as credit managers or debt collectors, and we're determined to examine all of the issues before settling on a response from government.
And I suppose, are there calls for expiation notices for petrol drive-offs a viable option?
Well, we understand that there are different models in place in, for example, Queensland. We're going to examine all of the issues before we conclude the roundtable process, but we appreciate very much the difficulties, of course, that the retailers are experiencing in terms of fuel drive-offs, but we also understand that we do not want to be in a situation where police are being used as private debt collectors, and so we need to be mindful of balancing all interests and coming up with the best possible long-term solution, and that is why the government has embarked on the roundtable process from the outset.
I've just got some political questions for you. So what do you think of Spears calling Malley a loser and telling him to act like a statesman following Malley saying gather round in Sydney would be dog shit?
I think that there are bigger issues than chipping one another's particular turn of phrase. The government is focused on the issues that South Australians expect them to be focused on.
And do you think it's appropriate for a leader to be using that language?
Well, as I say, the government is focused on bigger issues, as are South Australians.
And have any of your Hills constituents complained about it?
No.
Police
Further
Commissioner,
questions?
Police Commissioner.
The Commissioner?
Thank you, Minister.
Commissioner, just back to the helicopter. Andrew's spoken about the range of technology. How vital is that new technology for policing?
Use of the helicopter in operational policing is becoming more and more a critical element to how we respond to various incidents within the community. I'm sure people have seen footage of high-speed offenders on motorcycles and in cars where we can safely track them from the sky, as well as being able to monitor the conduct of offenders and observe them committing crime, follow them after crimes have been committed, and bring that to a safe resolution as well. So we're very excited to be able to enhance our aircraft capability through the introduction of the new helicopter. And as has been pointed out, this is substantially quieter than the old one, and the reality is that we do historically receive complaints from members of the public regarding the helicopter being up and above their homes. Sadly, that's a necessary requirement in order for us to do our job properly. So it's going to be good for people to not have to tolerate that type of noise intrusion while we're going about doing what we do for South Australians.
How does this compare to the one it will be replacing? I imagine technology's come quite a way in 30 years.
I never really thought about the previous helicopter being an old new one, and it looks pretty good. So we're very excited about introducing it into our fleet. As I said, the previous helicopter has served us exceptionally well. It's done a fantastic job. This enhances our capability through greater efficiencies, being faster, quieter, and more technologically capable.
And I think I saw you nod to me before that its zoom capabilities are quite similar to the
Quite similar,
previous one.
using the existing technology for that capability, it will be very similar.
I guess what would your message be to offenders such as, you know, high-speed pursuits, etc., about that there are eyes in the sky that are able to track you?
I don't think people appreciate just how effective our capability is in being able to track people on the ground from significantly higher altitudes. We're watching, and this has become a critical asset for frontline police to make sure that we can do our jobs as safely as possible, minimising the risk to the community and also minimising the risk to police officers as well. One of the most dangerous things that we can be involved in are high-speed pursuits. We are very careful about when we engage in urgent duty driving, but this makes it that much safer, exponentially safer.
And there'll be a period where this will be operating at the same time as the previous helicopter. Do you expect for that period for it to be an advantage for you to have both helicopters?
Essentially, we're transitioning from one platform to another, so there will be some time yet while the existing old helicopter is in the sky, so you will still continue to hear that, but we don't imagine that's going to be for a very long period of time. We're not using them as a doubling of our capability, we're simply transitioning from one platform to another.
And when will this helicopter officially be in operation?
That's a great question. When's the helicopter in operation?
Do we have an official flight?
Friday. This new helicopter will be airborne and operating as an operational asset as of Friday this week.
And Commissioner, I just wanted you to comment on the previous questions that I asked as well. So the union is calling to introduce number plate recognition, so drivers that don't pay for their fuel will get a text message. I suppose, do you think there's a similar model in Queensland? Do you think this could be a solution?
I think I've made my position pretty clear on this, that petrol drive-offs are an entirely preventable crime. Any alternative process to deal with petrol drive-offs that involves police I see as an unnecessary burden on police resources, and I don't think you have to think too long or hard to realise that police officers or police staff sending text messages will require some level of research before we send a message. There'll be the necessary follow-ups and the issuing of expiation, processing expiations, prosecuting people who fail to pay their expiations will continue to be a drain on police time, and it's a drain that just does not have to exist.
Commissioner, can you give us any more information regarding the Taparoo murder investigation?
Look, this is very early days in a complex situation. It would not be appropriate for me to make any further comment other than to say that the investigation is ongoing.
Commissioner, just one on the speed of Gawler East League Road being tampered with. In the event a driver travels on the road and follows the speed that's been tampered with and they were to get a fine, would they be required to pay that?
Anybody who was complying with a fake speed sign would have grounds to seek a review of that expiation notice. There would be a requirement to provide evidence of the fact that there was a false speed sign in place, and we'll obviously look at that very closely. This isn't a green light for people to go up and put higher speed signs around the place so that they can increase their speeds. We would look at every situation on its merits and make a decision based on the circumstances and information we have at our disposal.
And what's your message to that person who did change the speed?
It's a pretty stupid thing to do. Speed limits are set based on the capability of the road to handle that speed, the level of congestion, the type of activity in a particular location. So increasing a speed limit for a joke or for whatever other reason is reckless and could cost lives.
And just heading back to the Shoppers Union quickly, so the Motor Trade Association and Shoppers Union is against the idea of prepay stations. What do you think the solution is, and do you think you can find some middle ground?
Look, it's not for me to tell the retail fuel industry how to do their business, but what I can tell you is the way they're doing their business now has a dramatic impact on police resources, and I think we're at a point now, after over a decade of talking about this, that someone makes a decision and provides a solution that eliminates this crime completely. We've seen one metropolitan service station who has prepaid, and they have had zero petrol drive-offs. So there is a solution there. How the industry wants to adapt their business to accommodate that solution is a matter for them.
Last question, please.
And do you think it's going to get worse if nothing's done?
Well, we've seen the incidence of petrol drive-offs increasing year by year. We're just under 16,000 for the last 12 months. And I think that's an indicator that we need to take a different approach to this. Of that 16,000, roughly 16,000, over 8,000 are allocated for police investigation, and each one of those takes time away from police who could be spending that time dealing with things that directly relate to public and family safety.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.